Hello and welcome to Gabbett Media. I'm Grant Abbott and today we're going to be sculpting an alien's head. This will be from a beginner's perspective and I'll try and teach the tools and it will enable you to learn sculpting as well as coming up with a great sculpt. Now this is not for complete beginners. If you are a complete beginner, then look at my beginners playlist. If you want to learn sculpting, then do follow my sculpting playlist, links in the description. If you like what I do, then I would recommend my character creation course, which takes you from nothing right through to making a fully fledged game-ready character, which we put into a game engine with animations. Also check the links in the description for other free courses and other suggested paid-for courses. So we'll start off nice and simple. We'll go File, New, and Sculpting. That brings us this nice ball, which is a good resolution and good starting point for our sculpt. We've got the Sculpting and Shading workspace up here. We'll add the layout later on, but I do think this is the best starting point. I'm going to pull out my brushes so you can see the different names, but I won't be using many different advanced brushes today. The symmetry is turned on at the moment, just up the top here, and we're going to be using the Dyntopo because that will create new topology and new faces when we're sculpting. So I'll tick on that, I'll press the down arrow, and there's a couple of changes to make in here. The main one being change it from relative detail to constant detail. It's far more easy to understand for beginners. Whenever we use a brush now, it will constantly have the resolution set up here. So the next thing we need to do is therefore set the resolution. The best way to do this is get your picker and press over your cube and find out the resolution. So back to Dyntopo and it's at 25. So I'll actually type in 25 and it will keep this resolution when we're painting. So if I start painting now and paint a bit more, we still should have the same resolution in these bits as this bit. I'll undo that. To get your brush controls, go up to the workspace settings up here, and you've got lots of brush controls here. We won't be changing these much. The main thing you'll need to know is that F is to resize the brush, holding down Shift will smooth out, and holding down Control will dig in. Incidentally, I'm using a display tablet. I've got links in the description to my recommended, and also links for setting up your graphics tablet. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is change the shape. The best tool for that is the snake hook tool. It's much like the grab tool, but the snake hook tool allows you to actually pull the topology around and create new topology. So if I resize my brush with F to resize, I can then pull this out and create an interesting shape with it. Now when I undid earlier, it turned off my Dyntopo, so I'll turn that back on and just make sure that's back at 25, that's fine. So I'll start pulling around, and can you see how the topology changed very slightly as I started pulling it out? Before it was stretching and now it's not. So I'm just creating a random shape at the moment, sticking out the front there, much like a human skull. Resize my brush so it's a bit bigger with F. Pull up the bottom here and just squish this bit in. So we've got a bit of a human head at the moment. It's going to be humanoid, so that looks fine. Let's pull out a neck as well, so resize the brush with F, somewhere around there, and constantly move around your object so you can easily see what's going on. So if I pull down from here, for example, for the neck, and I keep clicking and dragging to pull this down, you've just got to make sure that you don't get this gap in between. So keep moving around your mesh to pull it around. So we've got a long, thin neck. You might want a bit of a bust going on as well, so perhaps put the shoulders in there, but we're not going to worry too much about those today. Holding down Shift to smooth out, and let's sort out the skull at the back a little bit. So F to resize, nice big brush, don't go too detailed too early. And you can be fairly random with this because it's an alien, so they can look all weird and strange. So maybe their cheeks come in like this and it's got this strange mouth that comes down like this. The fun thing with this snake hook tool is you can grab and then sort of twist it round as well, which creates some funny shapes such as that. We need a space for the eyes though, so come round to the side, resize the brush and sort of pull it in so we've got some sort of eye cavity there, and maybe they're going to be really wide for some reason. So I'll pull this area up around here and give them a bit of a cheekbone just there, so there's a space for the eyes, so sort of nose and then a strange mouth maybe coming under here somehow. So that's where we are so far. I'll just reposition the neck really slightly, just somewhere around there. There we go. And the main thing is just to try and practice with the tools and have a bit of fun. It doesn't really matter too much about the shape because it's an alien, so it can look like anything really. Okay, the next thing we need to think about is the eyes. So I'm going to create an area for the eyes. I find that easiest with the draw brush. So just click on the draw brush, make my brush about the eye socket size, and then Control and click to create that sort of eye socket in there. Just the space now for the eyes, but we're not actually doing any detail. What we're going to do is bring in some eyeballs. So we're going to need a new object for that. The easiest way to do this is to press the plus sign up here, and that will bring up our workspace options, and we can go to General and Layout. And that brings us a new workspace, as you can see there. The great thing about this is that it's got all the overlays, so you can see the grid and everything like that as well. So if I zoom in here, Shift right click to move my 3D cursor, and that's where my new object will be added. So Shift A to add Mesh UV Sphere, and that's brought in a sphere. So they're two separate objects at the moment. I'm going to rotate this around the X-axis, the red axis going across there, 90 degrees. So I just press R, X, 90, Enter, and it's rotated it. I like that because it looks like an eyeball at the front then. It's not actually necessary, that bit. So scale down and fit it into the eye socket. I'll go to front view with 1 on my numpad, or you can use the Cartesian coordinates up here, and start thinking about which position I want this in. So a nice wide eye there, maybe around to the side, and maybe the eye's a bit big, so maybe a little bit smaller there. So something like this perhaps. I think I might rotate the eye in the Z axis, R then Z, and rotate it round so it's slightly out of the side. That'll look kind of interesting, I think, and I'll change and adapt my eye socket accordingly. Now what we need is one on the other side, so we need to mirror this across the other side. So I'll press on the spanner here, which is the modifiers, wrench if you're American, add modifier, and then there's the mirror modifier here. Now that's worked, but it's put one exactly the same place as the old one. It uses the center point as the mirror, so you can see it's just going to mirror on top of itself. What we actually need to do is use our alien head as the mirror object. So I'll click on this pipette here, click on the alien head, and you can see that it's mirrored across to the other side using the center point of the alien head instead. So that's quite fun. Let's go back to sculpting, but before we do that, the object I have selected when I go back to sculpting is the object we're going to be sculpting. So if I start sculpting, I'll be sculpting on the eyes. So I'll undo that, go back to layout mode. You need to click on the alien head first, then go into sculpting, and now we can start adapting it. I'm going to go back to my snake hook tool and start adapting my shape. So F to resize my brush, pull this around here, pull these out. So we've got an area for the eyes, which are slightly sideways pointed. I'll give them a bit of space in here as well. And make sure the eyeball is in the middle. And that's why I like to rotate it so I can see this middle part here. It makes it a little bit easier. Just moving these into position. And notice I haven't changed the resolution of my mesh or added too much detail. Don't add detail too quickly, because when you move the mesh around like this, you'll end up destroying the detail that you've made. I'll give him a bit of a frown like this, and maybe there's a slight line between his eyes, like that. Okay, so make sure you're happy with the shape of the head. I feel like it needs to slope backwards here a bit more. And it does help to know some anatomy, although again, it's an alien, so it doesn't matter too much. But if you know a bit of anatomy, you kind of understand how muscles will work, and therefore you can make it seem like a realistic alien rather than something that's just not going to work at all anatomically. So all the time I'm pressing Shift to smooth out and F to resize my brush. I quite like this at the moment. I'm going to come under here and just make sure I've got a bit more bulk under there, ready for some sort of mouth thing. And that's great. So now we can start thinking about a bit more detail. So for that, I like to use either the crease brush or the draw brush. Let's start with the draw brush for now. I'll make my brush a bit smaller and I'll give him more of a brow. So coming across here, joining down there, and maybe a sort of double brow type strange thing coming up here as well. I'm going to make sure that sort of fades out into the back here a bit more, and that looks great. Maybe a sort of dent in here, and you can just have some fun with these things really and give it some interesting characteristics and shape. And that's kind of working. Maybe smooth this section out by holding down Shift. Actually, I quite like that dent, so hold down Control and push that in a bit more and smooth out with Shift. So all the time when I'm making a change, I often just smooth out just that little bit afterwards. Let's think about the neck a little bit. and there's usually a muscle coming down here. So if I draw a muscle on this character, that will help carry his huge head. We also have a muscle going down the back here as well. This muscle is probably a little bit large, but it does seem to help the structure of the head, doesn't it, having a muscle going down the side there. And maybe some sort of windpipe coming out here, such as that. So we've got quite a fun alien. You might want to give him maybe some sort of weird alien ears. Perhaps we'll go back to the snake hook tool for that and just pull out some weird alien ears. Something like this. And then just pull them in nice and easily there. Nothing too complicated. Now we can start to see our topology slightly. That means it's stretching a bit. That means we can't add too much detail without it going all sort of chunky and blocky like this. I'll just smooth that area out just a touch. So maybe it's time to up our detail level. When you want to do that, you go up to the Dyntopo and you type in a new value here. But before you do that, you must make sure you're happy with the shape, otherwise it becomes quite difficult to edit the shape once you go up the detail levels. So one last thing I'm going to do, I think he needs some sort of strange sort of horns sticking out the back. And that's where this snake hook tool is just fantastic. I might have some coming out of his mouth as well, just some coming down here. Now the problem I'm getting here is that I haven't got enough mesh or detail to work with. I can make my brush bigger and have some pull down this way. Or I can of course up the detail level like I was saying earlier. I'm not sure I like that, so I'll undo those steps. Maybe something like that, a bit more sort of arachnid. Okay, so we've got the shape. Now let's go to the Dyntopo and up the resolution to something like 50. And now we can go that one stage further with our detail. I'm going to go to the crease brush this time and press F to resize that and make that fairly small. Now the crease brush does just that. It will create creases in your mesh. So maybe there's a crease coming down here into his nose. And it's a bit like drawing then, or sketching. So the lines you draw, they just sort of crease into your mesh. So we've got this sort of thing going on here. Again, I'm just being fairly random with these. I don't like it at the end here, so I'll just smooth that out. So if there's any bits you don't like, you can just hold down Shift, smooth that area out. I think I'll do something a bit different with the bottom there. The other thing you can do with the crease brush, I'll just make it a bit bigger. You can hold down Control and it sort of pinches it together so you can get a sharper edge. Some people like to do that with hard surface sculpting. So I'll create some hard edges around here and then maybe come into here and make that a bit more separate around there and a crease in here to make this a bit more separate as well, and smooth out with Shift to make it a bit cleaner. So it's looking quite interesting at the moment, and you can really have fun with the detail at this point and maybe add some strange things perhaps around here for an interesting sort of throat, and use this opportunity to just experiment and play and see what you can come up with. I'm going to put some sort of strange gap up here, as maybe he's got some gills as well that he can breathe through. So I'll just draw in some lines up here using that crease brush and then come in nice and close and maybe a few lines going across like this. Last thing to do, I'll just smarten up around the eyes a little bit, so crease in around here and around here, just so it's got a little bit more of an eyelid. But I'm not going to go into that much detail. I'll let you be creative and see what you can come up with. Now for those areas where they're going a bit blocky, I've upped the resolution. You can do a detailed flood fill and it will fill the whole mesh with this resolution. At the moment it's only changing when I paint a certain area. So if I paint up here, it increases that resolution. I'll just smooth that bit out and see what that looks like. Kind of interesting. Maybe I'll continue that around here. See what I mean about being random? It doesn't really follow the flow of the muscles there though, so I'll delete that bit and make it come in here. So as I was saying, this resolution is now increased, but this hasn't over here because we haven't touched it with our brush. As soon as I do, just lightly tap it with my brush, I can then smooth that area out. A better way is to actually do the detailed flood fill though. Do make sure you've saved your work before you do that. So when I press the detailed flood fill, it will fill it in with that resolution of 50. That should be okay for most computers, but if you're on an old laptop then you may be struggling. I'll go back up to the draw brush and I'll just tidy this up a little bit, holding down Control and digging in a bit, so it's got some sort of ear, and then just holding down Shift, smooth some of these areas out a bit. Okay, so there we go, a very simple alien. If you want to see the final node setup for the textured alien, then I'll put that on the screen now. So what I'm going to do is add this to the sculpting playlist, and I'll keep adding to that playlist with new videos with more complexity than this. So enjoy it, have some fun, experiment, go wild with a weird alien, and you can always join the Discord server or just paste the link to your final result to show me how you're getting on. Do also comment with your own ideas about where you'd like me to go in the future. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps.